Hello, this is Eric Michael Lloyd. I have a master's in psychology, neuropsychology concentration, CEO of Genius Inc. Mental and Financial Health. This is the second time I'm attempting to read this. The first time it didn't work. Something happened with the recording. This is a homework assignment from September 11th, 2025. It's just a coincidence that it fell on that date. People still have work. Okay, on anniversaries, people still have work on days of past trauma. It's just a date that I produced and turned in and submitted the article. Gender identity and sexual orientation on expression and experience of sex. Gender identity, sexual orientation influences sexual expression and experience in more ways than one. Additionally, factors including biological, psychological, and cultural also play various roles in one's gender expression and sexual experience. For me, the example that comes to mind is that someone with a gender identity different than that assigned at birth may experience delayed sexual expression and reduced pleasure from sex, at least initially. According to the American Psychological Association 2024, transgender people in most cities and states face discrimination in nearly every aspect of their lives. This may be due to the pressure to conform to gender roles and heavy stigmatization from peers and even family members. APA.org 2024 purports that, quote, some children experience difficult social interactions with peers and adults because of their gender expression. On the other hand, someone that endorses a gender identity that's aligned with the typical sexual orientation of that gender may experience positive sexual experiences and sexual expression from social pressure. Additionally, negative sexual experience or expression can be based on if they have a sexual disorder or if they are less experienced or proficient and comfortable with sex. For instance, a person can have genital pelvic pain penetration disorder and find sex very uncomfortable, particularly if they have less knowledge of strategies to make it more pleasurable, including the use of lubrication and the benefit of careful sexual arousal and emotional attraction to their male partner, and I mean male in the plurative sense, or any partner for that matter. This disorder can affect sexual orientation and experience, primarily because GPPD causes pain during penetration, which can lead to avoidance of sexual activity. Now I'm hearing another, almost like a glottal stop sound. Sounds like a sound that my mother makes, which is pretty annoying. Decreased desire and relationship difficulties. Orientation can be gender typical or gender atypical. Biological factors such as genetics, prenatal hormone exposure, and brain structure have a role in the development of one's sexual orientation. That's O'Hanlon et al. 2018. Additionally, sex hormones, which include testosterone and estrogen, affect sexual motivation and ability. There is evidence from animal research, along with biometric indices, correlations, and clinical research on sexual disorders, that masculine sexual orientation and gender are influenced by prenatal hormones, namely the presence of testosterone, and its absence resulting in more feminized traits. Biopsychosocial processes. Some research has shown that a change or a new exploration period in partner attraction may occur during the process of transition. APA.org 2025. Biopsychosocial factors, including dispositional factors and situational factors, influence the likelihood of engaging in sexual activity, as noted in Miller 2020. Trait, self-control, and attachment style play a role in a person's sexual expression. Those having greater amounts of trait self-control typically exhibiting safer sex practices as well as greater partner loyalty and exclusivity. Moreover, anxious and avoidant attachment have been linked with reduced sexual satisfaction and more numerous sexual problems such as difficulty achieving orgasm. Miller, 2020. Psychological factors. Such biopsychosocial factors span the area of psychology. For instance, higher levels of anxious attachment have been linked with less safe sexual practices. For instance, condom usage. Miller, 2020. Psychosocial factors like mental health, body image, and trauma can impact a person's self-perception and desire, while cultural norms shape attitudes, behaviors, and societal expectations related to sexuality. Pottkey, 2017. Other psychological factors include priming effects, which influence the type of sexual fantasy a person has. According to the literature, priming that involved either a secure prime or insecure anxious prime and resulted in sexual fantasies of the distancing type with one's partner or a more intimate type. That's Miller, 2020. An interesting thing about sexual fantasy involves the notion that the more someone has positive thoughts about concepts such as sex, the more thought content they are likely to generate, which can also result in more disturbing thought content. Miller, 2020. Populations that experience reduced sexual activity demonstrate various reasons for the reductions in behavior. For instance, certain religious persons, like nuns and priests, take a vow to maintain abstinence, while others may refrain due to separation from work, like military or institutional settings like hospitals, nursing homes, or clinics, where it's forbidden. Miller, 2020. Additionally, some may experience reduced sexual activity from lack of access to a partner or reduced opportunities to do so. Cultural factors. Sexual behavior and orientation can vary depending on where someone lives and the customs of how they were raised. For example, cultures such as the Tonga of South Africa view kissing as a disgusting act, and therefore are much less likely to engage in this form of sexual behavior. Evidence that gender identity and sexual orientation are masculinized by prenatal exposure to testosterone and feminized in its absence draws from basic research in animals, correlations of biometric indices of androgen exposure, and studies of clinical conditions associated with disorders in sexual development. Social factors, such as who a child lives with, whether it's step-parents, no parents, or single parents, also affect one's sexual behavior and how many sexual experiences they have. Kim, 2022. Sexual identity and orientation can be impacted by factors other than sexual attraction, including the opportunity factors and politics. Bogert, 2020. This is Eric Michael Loyd. I have a master's in psychology, neuropsychology concentration, CEO of Genius Inc., Mental and Financial Health. Thank you for your time.